We live in a time where people wear polished smiles, speak the language of kindness, and know exactly how to say what others want to hear. But beneath the surface of every smile, every gesture, and every favor is something far more important: intention. And while actions can be imitated and words rehearsed, intentions can't be hidden forever. They will always surface. So the question is not just, what did someone do for you? It's, why did they do it? Because in the end, it's not the action that defines the heart. It's the reason behind it. Some people help you to lift you. Others help you to leverage you. And if you don't know how to tell the difference, you may find yourself surrounded by kindness that costs you more than cruelty ever would. This isn't about suspicion. It's about wisdom. Because when you learn to recognize the signs, you'll stop confusing manipulation for love, obligation for loyalty, and flattery for favor. There are 6 kinds of favors that can reveal someone's true intentions. And once you learn how to see them, you'll never look at people the same way again. In a world filled with noise, posturing, and polished appearances, it has become increasingly difficult to tell who is genuinely for us and who is simply nearby for what they can gain. People can smile, say all the right words, and even perform acts of kindness, yet still carry hidden motives. That's why the measure of a person's heart isn't found in how loud they praise us or how often they appear. It's found in their intentions. And intentions, though invisible to the eye, are always present in the spirit of an action. They're the unspoken truths behind what someone does for you and why. To truly understand the people around us, we must learn to look beneath the surface and perceive the silent message embedded in every favor. Every day, we interact with people who show kindness, offer help, lend their time, or give us opportunities. But the deeper question we rarely ask is this: what is fueling that favor? Was it love or leverage? Is it grace or gain? There's a vast difference between someone doing something for you because they care and someone doing something for you because they're keeping score. The outward behavior may look identical, but the inner purpose could not be more different. Intentions are the roots that determine the kind of fruit someone will bear in your life. The danger comes when we confuse motion for meaning or mistake gestures for genuine care. Intentions are not always revealed immediately. In fact, the most dangerous ones often take the longest to surface. That's why it is not enough to judge actions in isolation. One generous deed may impress the eyes, but only a consistent pattern of selfless behavior reveals true character. Anyone can act noble for a moment, especially when there's something to gain. But true intentions don't shine in moments of convenience. They're proven in moments of cost. A person's willingness to give, to serve, or to stand with you when there is nothing in it for them, when it may even cost them something, speaks volumes about what lives in their heart. When we talk about discerning intentions, we're not talking about being paranoid or cynical. This is not about questioning every good deed or assuming the worst in others. It is about cultivating the wisdom to see beyond appearance. It is about listening not just with the ears, but with the heart. There are people in your life who seem helpful, but they're really strategic. There are those who give, but they're really trading. And then there are the rare few, those who do good not for credit or control, but simply because it's who they are. These are the people whose intentions match their actions, whose heart beats in harmony with what their hands do. Learning to see intentions is not about judgment, it's about protection. When you understand what someone is really after, you're no longer easily manipulated. You're no longer swayed by compliments that come with a hidden cost or favors that are really a setup for control. You begin to develop an internal radar, not to push people away, but to hold them at the distance their intentions require. Some people belong in your life's inner circle, and some only in the outer court. Intentions help you know the difference. This ability to perceive intention is not just about others. It's also about ourselves. Just as we look outward and ask, what are they after? We must be brave enough to look inward and ask, what am I after? Am I showing kindness because it's right or because it benefits me? Am I offering support because I care or because I'm positioning myself for something? The same mirror we hold up to others must be held up to our own soul. At the end of the day, it's not the words people say or the favors they do that determine their worth in your life. It's the why behind it all. And that why is not always said aloud, but it always leaves a fingerprint. When you learn to recognize that fingerprint, you're no longer deceived by charm, flattery, or temporary acts of goodness. You begin to walk with clarity. You begin to walk in truth. And most of all, you begin to walk with peace, knowing you're surrounded not by performance, but by people of true purpose. Words are easy. They require no sacrifice, no commitment, no proof. They can be spoken in a moment, polished to perfection, and tailored to impress. But words, without the weight of sincerity behind them, are hollow. They can soothe the ear while silently misleading the heart. That is why words, no matter how sweet, can never fully be trusted on their own. Intentions matter more than words because intentions shape the substance of every action. When someone's words say one thing, but their actions suggest another, it is not confusion, it is clarity. The contradiction reveals the truth. It is not a moment of uncertainty, but a revelation of motive. People often rely on words to shape how others perceive them. Carefully chosen phrases, reassurances, and compliments are tools that can mask selfishness or manipulate trust. But intentions cannot be rehearsed. They leak through in the details, in the timing, in the tone, in what's left unsaid. You can only pretend for so long before the truth shows itself in the pattern of behavior. What someone says about loyalty is less important than whether they actually show up. What they claim about their love means little if their actions consistently contradict it. When there's a mismatch, time is one of the most telling favors anyone can offer, because it is the one thing no one can ever get back. Unlike money or possessions, time cannot be replenished or replaced. Once given, it's gone forever. So when someone gives you their time, it isn't just a matter of availability. It's a revelation of value. Who someone consistently makes time for is a direct indicator of who matters to them. You cannot fake that. No one sacrifices their time without reason, and no one invests it carelessly when their intentions are pure. But it's important to look deeper than just the gesture itself. Not all time given is equal. There's a kind of time that's transactional, given to maintain influence or secure favor in return. Then there's another kind, the kind given freely without fanfare or expectation, simply because a person cares. That kind of time carries the fingerprint of genuine intention. You'll know it because it doesn't demand recognition. It doesn't come with guilt, pressure, or a running tally of what's owed in return. It's steady, unforced, and often shows up when it's inconvenient. True intentions are revealed when someone chooses to spend their time with you, not when it benefits them, but when it costs them, when it interrupts their schedule, when it delays their plans, when it brings them nothing but the satisfaction of knowing they were there for you. Those moments are the most sacred because they are freely given. No one can pretend to be sincere while sacrificing their time repeatedly and without reward. Eventually, the heart speaks through the effort or the absence of it. That is why you must always pay attention to how people allocate their time. Words may tell you that you matter, but time shows you whether that's true. It's in the consistency, in the quiet moments, in the willingness to be present, even when there's nothing to gain. The gift of time is more than a favor. It's a mirror into someone's true priorities and a window into the condition of their heart. Support is often loud in public but silent in private. Many people are eager to be seen on your side when the spotlight is on, when there's applause to be gained, or when it's convenient to agree with you in front of others. Public support costs very little. It's often a performance designed to preserve an image or maintain a connection. But private support, what someone says and does when no one else is watching, carries far more weight. It reveals not just whether someone wants to be associated with you, but whether they truly believe in you. That's where intentions are most clearly revealed. What someone does for you behind the scenes, when there's no recognition, no reward, and no benefit, shows their real investment. if they defend you when you're not in the room, if they pray for you when you're unaware, if they offer help quietly without announcing it to others, that's the kind of support that comes from sincerity. You'll rarely hear about it from them because they're not doing it to be noticed. They're doing it because they care, because they believe in who you are, not just what you can do for them. On the other hand, when support is selective, present when things are easy and absent when things get difficult, it exposes a different kind of intention. It says, I'm with you only as long as it's safe for me. That isn't support. It's self-protection disguised as loyalty. True support doesn't shift with circumstances. It doesn't vanish in discomfort. It anchors itself in quiet places and proves itself when you're not looking for it. Private support has no audience, and that's precisely why it is so honest. If you want to know someone's true heart, don't just look at how they treat you in public. Listen for the silence of what they do in private. Pay attention to the way they respond when your name is mentioned and you're not around. Observe whether they show up for you when the world isn't watching. Because when the praise ends and the cameras fade, that's where real loyalty begins. One of the most revealing favors a person can give is correction delivered with compassion. It takes courage to correct someone, especially when that correction may not be received well. Many choose to stay silent, afraid of upsetting the peace or risking the relationship. But those who truly care are willing to risk your comfort in order to preserve your growth. They don't correct to shame or to control. They correct because they see your worth, and they cannot remain quiet while you drift toward harm. That kind of correction is rare, and it speaks volumes about a person's intentions. True correction is not harsh. It's not rooted in superiority or pride. It doesn't come with an air of condemnation or a need to prove a point. It comes with humility. It comes with love. It's the kind of truth that's wrapped in patience and offered with the intent to heal, not harm. When someone corrects you gently, privately, and with the clear aim of helping you become better, they are giving you a gift, not of criticism, but of protection. They are saying, I care too much to stay silent while you suffer the consequences of an unseen mistake. You will know the difference by how you feel afterward. Correction with wrong motives leaves you wounded, defensive, and small, but correction with pure motives, even when difficult to hear, leaves you wiser. It leaves you feeling valued, not because someone flattered you, but because they loved you enough to tell you the truth. They didn't speak to tear you down. They spoke to help you rise. That is not something enemies do. That is something only the sincere will do. So if someone speaks into your life with honesty and grace, don't overlook it. Don't dismiss it just because it stings. Pause and consider what their willingness to speak really says about them. It reveals that their intention is not to win your approval, but to guard your potential. And in a world where most would rather watch you fall than risk discomfort, that kind of truth is a profound form of love. One of the clearest windows into a person's intentions is how they give, specifically, whether they give with expectation or without it. Real giving is never a transaction. It is not a tool for leverage, not a silent contract, and not a favor laced with hidden strings. When someone gives purely, they release their gift freely. They don't keep a mental score. They don't circle back to collect. They don't remind you of what they did or make you feel obligated in return. This kind of giving reveals something rare, a heart that seeks your good, not its own gain. Many people give, but few give with clean hands. Some offer help, hoping to gain influence. Some give generously, but only when the spotlight is on. Others offer kindness with the quiet intention of creating debt. And when the time comes, they collect, not always in obvious ways, but in subtle cues, expectations, or guilt-inducing reminders. This is not generosity. This is control. Giving with expectation is a disguised form of manipulation. It looks like love, but it is rooted in self-interest. True intention is exposed in whether someone can give without watching what you'll do in return. Can they bless you and walk away expecting nothing? Can they help you carry a burden without making themselves the center of the story? Can they invest in you without inserting themselves into your decisions afterward? If the answer is yes, You've encountered something rare. Genuine giving. That kind of favor is never about power. It's about love. It comes from a place of freedom, not attachment. And that freedom reveals a pure heart. The test is simple. What happens after the gift is given? Does the person withdraw if they're not praised? Do they become cold when the attention shifts? Or do they remain the same, content to give and then fade quietly into the background? Watch closely, because people who give without needing control are the ones whose intentions can be trusted. They are not trying to own you. They are trying to lift you. And in a world that so often gives to gain, that kind of favor speaks louder than words ever could. Adversity is the great revealer. It strips away illusions, quiets the noise, and uncovers what words and comfort often conceal. One of the most powerful favors a person can offer is their presence. Not in your celebration, not in your success, but in your pain. When life becomes heavy and the lights go out, the ones who stay are the ones who truly care. Crisis has a way of exposing intentions. Those who were only nearby for what they could gain will vanish when there's nothing left to take. But those whose hearts are sincere will draw closer, even when the atmosphere is uncomfortable and the outcome uncertain. Presence during difficulty is not about having the right words or fixing the situation. It's about choosing to remain when things are messy, unclear, and hard. It's about being willing to sit in the silence, to offer nothing but your nearness, and to give without explanation. This kind of favor speaks volumes because it's not easy. There's no applause in it, no recognition, no benefit. It's costly. It requires patience, empathy, and emotional strength. And those who stay through your lowest points are revealing their true nature, not just as friends, but as people of substance. You'll find that fair weather loyalty is loud in the good times and silent in the bad. Those who cheered you when things were easy may disappear the moment life turns hard. That disappearance is not a failure. It's a revelation. It's proof that their intentions were never rooted in love, only in circumstance. But those who stay, even when you have nothing to offer, even when your future is uncertain, show you something far greater than companionship. They show you covenant. Their loyalty isn't seasonal. It's stable, and it's built not on what they can receive from you, but on who you are, even in your weakness. So when hardship comes, don't just mourn who walked away. Pay close attention to who remained, because the ones who choose you in your lowest moments are not doing it for attention or opportunity. They are doing it out of love. And that love, expressed through simple presence, is one of the purest signs of a sincere heart. Truth is one of the most uncomfortable gifts a person can give, especially when it comes at a cost. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't bend to your feelings. It doesn't dress itself up to be liked. And because of that, many people avoid speaking it altogether. They prefer to keep peace at the surface rather than risk conflict by going deeper. But someone who loves you enough to speak truth, even when it might hurt, is giving you something far more valuable than comfort. They're giving you clarity. And clarity, though painful in the moment, is a form of mercy. When someone risks telling you what you don't want to hear, whether it's about your behavior, your choices, or your patterns, they are putting the relationship on the line for your sake. They know you might get angry. They know you might pull away, but they care enough to confront you anyway. That's not arrogance. That's love in its boldest form. The truth that wounds temporarily often protects you from pain that could last much longer. People who don't care will tell you what you want to hear. People who do care will tell you what you need to hear, even if it means being misunderstood. But how truth is delivered also reveals intention. Truth spoken harshly is a weapon. Truth spoken humbly is a lifeline. You can feel the difference. When someone corrects or confronts you with a heart of love, you'll sense that their motive is not to tear you down, but to lift you up, to help you grow, not to make you feel small. Their words may sting, but they won't scar. They'll challenge you, not humiliate you. And that difference in delivery speaks directly to the condition of their heart. So don't run from those who tell you the truth in love. They are not attacking you. They are guarding you. They see what you cannot see yet. And in a world where silence often masquerades as support, someone who tells you the hard truth is offering you one of the purest, most revealing favors of all. There's a thin line between favor and flattery, and it often takes wisdom to tell them apart. Both can sound kind, both can appear generous, and both may initially make you feel uplifted. But only one is rooted in truth. Flattery is cheap. It's easy to give, easy to receive, and dangerously deceptive. It appeals to your ego, not your growth. It tells you what you want to hear, not what you need to know. Favor, on the other hand, is built on sincerity. It's not interested in manipulating your emotions. It's concerned with strengthening your character. And when you understand the difference, you stop being seduced by empty praise. Flattery often comes from people who want something from you. They use compliments as currency. Their words are calculated, not sincere. They may appear kind, but their motives are transactional. The praise flows freely as long as you're giving them what they want, or as long as their association with you brings them benefit. But when you no longer serve their purpose, the sweetness fades. That's the nature of flattery. It's shallow, self-serving, and short-lived. It tells you you're perfect, even when you're on the edge of a mistake. It leaves you blind to your flaws and unguarded against your weaknesses. Favor, in contrast, may not always sound sweet, but it is steady. It affirms what is right in you, but it does not lie to protect your feelings. It encourages with truth, not manipulation. When someone shows you favor, they honor you, not by inflating your ego, but by respecting your mind and soul. They may praise you, but it's never exaggerated. They may affirm you, but it's never forced. Their words are a reflection of care, not strategy. That is why discerning between favor and flattery is essential. One feeds your pride, the other builds your strength. One makes you feel better temporarily, the other helps you become better permanently. When someone's praise feels too polished, too convenient, or too excessive, pause and ask yourself, what do they stand to gain? True favor will always nourish your soul. Flattery only feeds your image, and only one of them can be trusted. Every favor carries a cost. That cost may not always be financial, and it may not always be visible, but it is always there. When someone does something for you, they're giving up something: time, energy, attention, opportunity, or sometimes even their comfort or reputation. That sacrifice speaks more loudly than the favor itself. It reveals how deeply they value you and what they're willing to part with for your sake. It's easy to appreciate what someone gives. It takes discernment to notice what it costs them to give it. Not all favors are created equal, even if they appear similar. One person may help you with ease, out of surplus, without much thought. Another may help you when it stretches them thin, when they have little to spare, or when it requires personal inconvenience. The second act, though perhaps quieter or smaller, often carries more sincerity, because true intention shows up not in how grand the gesture is, but in what someone is willing to lose to serve you. When a favor is sacrificial, it's a sign that the heart behind it is real. But just as there are those who give sacrificially with no desire for return, there are also those who give strategically, using the cost of a favor as silent leverage. They don't talk about it immediately, but it lingers in the background. A quiet pressure, a sense of debt you're expected to repay later. That kind of favor isn't rooted in love, it's rooted in control. You'll know it by how often the person reminds you of what they've done, how subtly they position themselves as owed, or how their generosity starts to feel like a leash rather than a gift. This is why it's so important to pay attention, not just to what someone gives, but to what it costs them, and how they carry that cost afterward. If they sacrifice without seeking applause, if they give without creating obligation, if they suffer loss with grace for your sake, you've encountered rare integrity. True favor always costs something, but only those with sincere intentions are willing to pay that cost quietly, without turning their sacrifice into your burden. In a world where appearances often deceive, discernment becomes one of your greatest shields. It is the quiet strength that protects you from manipulation, the inner wisdom that helps you see what words and gestures try to hide. Discernment is not suspicion, nor is it cynicism. It is clarity, the ability to see beyond charm, beyond performance, and beyond the surface of someone's actions. With discernment, you are no longer easily swayed by impressive words or grand gestures. You begin to sense what is real and what is rehearsed. You stop responding to how someone makes you feel in the moment and start recognizing the deeper pattern of who they consistently are. Discernment doesn't require confrontation or accusation. It simply observes. It listens to the tone behind the words, watches the timing of the favors, and notices who shows up when there is no benefit to be gained. It's not loud. It doesn't need to declare, "I see through you." It just quietly sorts the genuine from the deceptive. It helps you recognize when someone's kindness is a performance, when their concern is conditional, or when their loyalty is selective. And that recognition allows you to protect your peace without bitterness or drama. Not everyone in your life is meant to have equal access. Some are safe at a distance, and some should be trusted closely. But without discernment, you won't know who belongs where. You may find yourself constantly disappointed, constantly betrayed, wondering why your openness is met with inconsistency. Discernment answers that question by teaching you to measure intention, not appearance. It tells you who you can walk with, who you can lean on, and who you must love from afar. The more you develop discernment, the less you'll rely on the noise of public opinion or the seduction of surface-level charm. You'll begin to value consistency over charisma, substance over show, and truth over temporary comfort. And in doing so, you will build a life surrounded not by those who flatter you, but by those who truly stand with you. Because discernment doesn't isolate you. It insulates you. It keeps you safe from false favor and draws you closer to what is real. The people closest to you will shape not only your present, but your future. Who you allow into your inner circle has a direct impact on your peace, your direction, and your strength. That's why it's not enough to surround yourself with those who appear supportive. You must build your circle based on intention, not image. It's easy to be impressed by charisma, charm, or connection, but those qualities on their own don't guarantee loyalty, wisdom, or care. What matters most is the heart behind the person, their motive, their consistency, and the quiet truth behind why they stand with you. A circle built on real intentions is often smaller, but far more secure. These are not people who agree with you just to avoid conflict. They are not there because of what you can do for them. They are the ones who challenge you to grow, support you in silence, and walk with you when there is no benefit attached to your success. They don't need a spotlight. They don't ask for repayment, and they don't disappear when things get complicated. Their presence is not just consistent, it's unconditional. To build that kind of circle, you have to be willing to observe more than you listen. Watch how people treat you when you have nothing to offer. Watch how they speak about others behind closed doors. Watch who shows up when you're struggling, not just when you're succeeding. People's patterns will always reveal more than their promises. And once you begin to recognize those patterns, you'll begin to draw the right people in and release the wrong ones with peace. The goal isn't perfection. No one gets it right all the time. But intention, pure, honest, grounded intention, is the foundation that will hold strong through seasons of change. So be slow to give deep access to those whose hearts you haven't tested. Value quality over quantity, because the strength of your future isn't just in your vision. It's in who's walking beside you and why they chose to stay. Not everything that looks good is good. Not every gesture that seems kind is sincere. This is why we must learn to test the spirit behind the action, not just admire the action itself. A favor on the surface may appear generous, thoughtful, even loving, but it's the spirit behind it that gives it meaning. That spirit is the hidden motive, the quiet reason, the unseen thread connecting what is done to why it's done. And if the why is wrong, no matter how impressive the gesture may be, the impact will eventually bring harm. Because what comes from a dishonest heart can never produce lasting good. You don't test the spirit through reaction or accusation. You test it through time, through consistency, through discernment. You watch what follows the gesture. Does it come with manipulation? Does it bring peace or confusion? Does it increase trust or create obligation? These subtle signs speak louder than words. And if you're paying attention, you'll begin to recognize when someone's actions are aligned with love and when they are dressed in it only to serve their own needs. This awareness isn't about pushing people away or living in fear. It's about walking wisely. It's about protecting your heart and your future from the slow erosion that comes when you keep giving space to people who only bring disruption. It's about knowing that trust isn't built on one kind act, but on a pattern of selfless, consistent, quiet loyalty. And that pattern only becomes clear when you pause long enough to ask not just what someone did, but why they did it. At the end of the day, the fruit will tell you what kind of tree you're dealing with. Intentions may be invisible, but they always leave evidence. You'll see it in how someone follows up, in whether they disappear when things aren't convenient, in how they handle your boundaries, your silence, your vulnerability. So test the spirit, watch the fruit, and as you do, choose to walk with those who give from a place of love, who serve without strings, and who stay, not because it benefits them, but because you matter. In the end, what truly defines a person isn't what they give, but why they give it. It's not the size of the gesture. It's the purity of the motive. The world is full of noise and distraction, full of people doing the right things for the wrong reasons. But you have the power to see clearly. You have the power to slow down, to observe, to listen with more than your ears. And when you do, you'll start to notice the difference between those who are standing with you and those who are standing near you. The difference between those who serve out of love and those who serve out of strategy. The difference between someone who lifts you because they care and someone who lifts you because they expect to be repaid. When you test the spirit behind the favor, when you look beyond the surface and into the source, you begin to build a life protected by truth. And in that truth, you'll find peace, you'll find clarity, and you'll be surrounded, not by people who pretend to love you, but by people whose actions are rooted in something far deeper, genuine, selfless, lasting intention.